Hi, I'm Katy Auker with the Sondheim Society, and I'm here talking to David Thaxton, the star of Passion and Olivier Award winner. So how did it feel to win the Olivier?
Amazing. A massive surprise and a shock even to be nominated, but yeah, so it was a very good surprise, but it was really lovely.
Cool, that's good. And what kind of got you into musical theatre in the first place?
What got me into musical theatre in the first place? It's always been something I've done, I suppose. I did all the Amdram stuff when I was a kid, but I don't know, it was never really, people as this is what I wanted to do my entire life, and it was never really like that for me. There was a time when I was like 10, I loved it. I was a real geek, but then I stopped being a geek and I got into other things. But it was always something I did, and you know, there's always been music in my family. My family are all very musical people. My dad isn't, my mum certainly is. So it's always been there. But professionally, what got me into it, I spent a lot of time when I was 18, 19, 20, bumming around not knowing what I wanted to do and going to different universities and doing different things and failing at all of them and not applying myself. And I ended up going to the Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama in Cardiff. I was born in Wales, and one of the ideas I had when I was 18 that I wanted to go and live in Cardiff. So I finally did. I was 21, I think, 21, 22. And I got into there to do vocal studies course, which is, musical theatre is like a swear word there, they hate it. But I did that and I got involved, met some people there, and I got a job doing the opening of the Millennium Centre in Cardiff. So I got 2 weeks off college and I had a really great time, and the guy who directed that is a guy called Ken Caswell, and I met Ken, and Ken was in the original cast of Les Miserables and has subsequently directed it all over the world. And I got a bit drunk at the after show party and said, oh, I was only in my second year now, I was like 22, 3 or something at that point, and I've been doing so much higher education and never getting anywhere. I still never got further than the second year in any of it, and I was just bored of it. I felt old and tired, and so I want to do something else. And so he got me an audition for the Miss Saigon tour that happened, and I went along to the Queen's Theatre and auditioned, and they said, you're not right for that, but you are right for Labour's, we'll give you a ring. And I thought I'll never hear from them again, but they did, they called me and I got in, and that was, 2005 I think.
Wow, that's cool. So yeah, if we could just talk about Passion a bit specifically. How did you get the part? You were headhunted from being in Les Mis, right?
I think so. I don't really know. I think Jamie had done, he's got to be thorough director and he's a incredibly thorough person. I think they saw everyone. I think they went to see everything and they saw everyone. And I was playing Honduras in Les Mis, and I don't think it was headhunted exactly, but I got an audition for it. But there was, like I say, they was just seeing everyone. They were so incredibly thorough, and had a few auditions and met Jamie, and it just it worked out. But.
And how did you approach the role? Was it kind of a very emotional and kind of what's the word I'm looking for?
Empathic.
Empathic.
Empathetic. Very pathetic. How do you approach it? I don't know. It's a tough one. It's a tough one because it's such a difficult role, I think, and it's a difficult show in lots of ways. I think one thing that made the whole thing a lot more helpful, a lot more accessible, was the way Jamie and we all approached it from the start. Really, but it was Jamie's vision and Jamie's idea of anything you've seen before. So that Broadway version with Donna Murphy. I think the soldiers are all very Jamie's just kind of like chocolate box soldiers, all very like we're doing our drill, isn't it? And it's just not realistic at all. So we did a lot of research. I know an awful lot about the unification of Italy. Endless talking, like character work. The guys, all the soldiers in it, just backgrounds that they came up with, just extraordinary. So we got to this point where there were whole lives being played out on stage rather than just people pretending to be other people and acting. Everyone had back histories and stories that you could see, and these are all things that they'd be ad-libbing and talking to each other about. But it's just always a lot more interesting, I think, when you have actual lives played out in front of you. So that kind of, that gritty, realistic, sort of darker aspect of it all really helped. And of course the Donmar itself is like no bigger than this room really, so it's, you know, it's very claustrophobic, and it's a very claustrophobic piece anyway, so I think that all really helped with it. It sort of all just sort of flowed really. And it's very difficult to start out and say this is how I'm going to play this role in this show. I think it's very, and if you do have preconceived ideas, they usually are out of the window by your first afternoon of rehearsals, I think so. But yeah, it was, I think that any ideas I had about playing it all just got moulded and turned into lots of other things as the whole process went on.
Did you have much input from Stephen Sondheim, or?
He was there first day of rehearsals. That was a bit strange. I walked in and saw Anne McNulty, who's the head of casting at Donmar. She said, "Come meet Steve." I was like, "Oh my god, she's talking about Stephen Sondheim." And he was there, and we all had we grew our own facial hair, so great array of facial hair on display. But everyone was sort of in the middle of growing it, and he couldn't believe it. And he was the first thing he said to me was telling me a story about how Lenny wanted to grow a beard back in the day because he liked Steve's beard but couldn't, and it came up all patchy. And I was thinking, you're talking about Leonard Bernstein, aren't you? This is just the most surreal thing. But then that first day of rehearsals, Scarlett, who was Clara, sang through our entire show with him. So, you know, there's the MD playing the piano and he stood behind him and just... So and it was a great question and answer session, like, you know, what an opportunity. And he came to see it a few times, and I think we got to him. I think it worked, and I think he liked it. Yeah,
by all accounts, he really did. And a lot of people commented on how this production focused more on Giorgio rather than on Fosca. Was that kind of an intentional?
I think it certainly was from Jamie. Yeah, and I had Steve himself say that that's what it was originally intended to be. But I mean, because Fosca is such an unforgettable, fascinating, crazy character, I can see how any time before, and you've got these amazing women, you know, these sort of phenomenally powerful women, and of course we had Elena, who's one of the most phenomenally powerful performers I've ever met in my life. And it's very, very, very easy just to sort of make it about the psychopath who's, you know, the supposed psychopath anyway, who's being played by these phenomenal, powerful actresses. But I don't think that's what it's not about that. I mean, the book is called Fosca, but it's written by Giorgio, it's written by him, it's his journals. And yeah, so I think it was a very conscious decision by Jamie to centre it all around Giorgio, and then it's sort of his journey. It's, you know, it starts and ends with him, and it's where he begins and where he ends up. And I think that does make things a lot more interesting.
Yeah. And what was your favourite scene in the show, and which was the hardest one for you to perform?
My favourite scene in the show? I think the answer to both is that's so difficult to say, because so many different aspects to it. I mean, there's a scene with Giorgio and Clara right at the end where they're breaking up before he goes back to the barracks, and it's Christmas, and I think it's a really, really great, well-written scene. But I think probably that first scene when you first see Fosca and I read, I mean, Giorgio has very little to do, but just sort of, you know, it's a real treat. I just get to sit there and watch Elena sing and perform. And I spent 3 months of Elena Rogers singing to me. It was fantastic. But I think the answer to both would be the very last, the very, very ending, the duel, and then sort of the way we set it, at least Giorgio's descent into madness, and so that is, you know, it was very enjoyable to do, but difficult, because, you know, you've got to go so far to make it the arc of that journey to where he ends up, and it's, you know, it's a difficult thing to pull off, and you know, so that was a good challenge.
Being so close to the audience, obviously in the, you know, tiny Donmar Warehouse, did the audience response kind of influence the way that you played the role and in performance, or?
Funnily enough, no, because in other shows you get your big Bross Arch theatres, and this goes for anything, like back in Amdram days I remember it being the case that one of those fascinating things is how an audience can, without talking to each other about it, collectively somehow decide to be either really good or really bad. And I have no idea how it happens, but it does. that didn't really happen at the Donmar. I mean, you could see, I mean, it's kind of a Marmitey show anyway, I think. But for that reason, I think it certainly wasn't to everyone's taste. It wasn't everyone's cup of tea, but some people were just like nuts about it. And I have friends who don't really like the show. I have other friends who think it's the best thing they've heard, seen, or whatever in their entire life. So when you could see some people just going, what's going on? Some people going, oh, and then other people just floods. But no, it didn't really affect anything, funnily enough. And I can see why you'd ask, because you'd assume that because they're literally where you are, to me, you'd think that kind of thing would have a really immediate impact. But I don't know, it's such a great space to work, it's such a great place to work, it's amazing. And it doesn't really, you sort of feel like you're really connected to people, but there doesn't really, I can't really explain, it doesn't really have that great sort of en masse audience thing that you get in the big theatres. So no, not really.